Good morning, my friends. This is Natasha, founder of On Purpose Projects, bringing you another tip about how to create a high-performance business website. This video, I am going to pull back the curtain a little bit and show you what you need to know when you're reviewing a quote from a designer or a developer. So this is one of my biggest pet peeves, and I'm sure you've had this happen to you, where you hire someone to do something and they give you a quote, and then as you're going through it, you run into sort of normal things that we would assume would be included, and then we find out later they're not included, and it's going to be more, and now we're into the project, and we can't like abandon this person or abandon this project, so we kind of get sucked into paying more, and it's so annoying. And I feel, because as if you're a non-tech person, as a founder or a marketing manager, something like that, you sometimes we don't know what to ask, right? We don't know what's normal, what should be included, what's an add-on. And I want to go through, when you're getting a quote, sort of a mini checklist of to check with the designer, check with the developer, is this included? Because if it's not, you're going to pay for it out of pocket by surprise, and that's really annoying. So let me go through this with you. So whenever I get a quote, so whenever we're doing a website, I obviously take it to my team, and they quote it for me, and then I quote to our client. So this is literally the exact checklist I use internally for design and development. Quality assurance is something separate, project management is something separate, but I'm going to take you through the fundamentals of what you need. So designer items. So let's imagine you're doing a redesign of your website. Do you need any changes to your logo? If you don't, this is not included. Branding, design planning. Do you already have a brand, or are you going to need help redoing that brand, changing your colors, changing your logo as above? Are you going to need any copywriting, changing wording, text, things like that? Making sure that that's included, because sometimes the designer will think, okay, this is what we're working with, these are the colors, but you're like, no, wait, I'm redesigning. But that wasn't factored in to like change the colors, change the brand. Mockups, obviously mocking up the website. Are they going to do it in a mockup format in Figma, Photoshop, Adobe, Sketch, or are they going to do a design dev, like design it and build it at the same time? So just to confirm that. Both are fine. It just depends on what you're looking for. If you're going to mockup format, making sure that obviously it includes the mockups plus revisions. What is the revisions policy? On our team, we quote up to 3 rounds of revisions. We know our numbers to know how much time approximately that's going to take. So we incorporate that. So making sure whoever you hire has a revisions policy and you know what it is. Because some people will do like a one and done. Like they'll build it and here you go, no revisions, or you have to pay extra. So figuring out what that is for that person. Researching, cropping, editing stock photos. This is sort of like a sneaky one, but in this one isn't usually a big money requirement. But let's just say that you have photos, or but you need them cut or cropped. Making sure that there is time in the quote for someone to change your photos. Sometimes this is included, sometimes they'll tell you later that's extra. So just making sure, okay, you might buy a stock photo, but you want it edited, or you want an overlay, or you want something photoshopped out. Making sure that edits to graphics is part of that design quote if you want it done. Like if your images are perfect and ready to go, no problem, right? Creating developer notes. This is a term that we use internally on our team. When you have a designer-developer handoff, you got someone designing it and you got someone building it, there's a communication bridge in the middle that needs to happen. We call that developer notes, where we create a documentation from the designer that has all the information the developer is going to possibly need to know to build it to spec. We don't just hand over the mock-up. We provide hover effect instructions and functionality instructions. Where does this learn more link go? Like every possible, we break down by section, boom, 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 boom. So the developer and the designer, it's a clean handoff. The developer knows exactly what to do with the design. So making sure that's included, because if you hire a designer and then you hire a developer, in a lot of cases, it's very helpful if they can talk to each other to coordinate. So having that document just saves so much time. Final review of the website. The designer is ultimately the ones who knows the website best. Once it's built, it's always helpful to have the designer do final review, making sure that it's on point. Client calls, meetings. Sometimes they'll bill you for that if you don't know, so things like that. In terms of, here we go, staging site setup, developer items. Let me just recenter that. Staging site setup. you know, making sure that's included that time, building the website, one round of edits after the site has been built. This is our internal policy where once the designs are approved, we assume this is what you want the website to look like. We then build it to the mockup, and then after it's built, you get one round of changes. If you need more, that's fine, but we're going to bill you for it. So making sure that edits post-development is included if you want that included. If not, don't worry. Make sure the site optimization, speed optimization is included. Responsiveness testing, making sure that the site's going to be responsive and fast. Migration from staging to live, obviously that's a given, but it's always helpful to have that. Setting up SSL. If your domain does not have an SSL certificate attached to it, and making sure that that's included if you want SSL installed. Setting up email. This one's another sneaky one. People usually will tell us, no, I don't need it. And this is where it's like natasha@mydomain.com, like setting that up. Because this one comes up more often than you think. But if you have them set up and it's working and that's fine, then this is not included. But let's say we're changing hosts. You're going from GoDaddy to WP Engine or something, and we're changing your mail servers, you're going to need those emails set up all over again. So making sure that if you are changing your host or you want updates to your, or some people add email addresses, hey, can you add an info at, or can you add a help at or something? And you think it's small, but that sort of thing is not, it's not a quick fix. Like it can take a little bit of time to get that done, make sure that's included. Again, no surprises. Final review, once the website's been migrated from staging to live, having someone do that final review, making sure everything's still working properly. Plugin API setup. This one happens a lot too, where we'll design something and then later the client will come back to us and say, oh, we forgot we want to integrate our web forms with HubSpot or whatever. So if you know that you want your site to integrate with some sort of CRM or like Google Maps, like you need that API, or you need something, make sure that that is known on the front end so the developer knows to include that time, right? So if you expect that you're going to need website tutorials, like you're going to want to know how to do stuff on your site that you don't know how to do, make sure the developer knows that, because a lot of times tutorials are not included. Admin time, client meetings, calls. We have a policy on this internally, like it's not relevant to this video, but we have a kind of a policy and we'll let the client know, okay, you get this much face-to-face time. And we're, again, happy to help with more, but it's billable after a certain number of hours or whatever the case may be. Margin for unforeseen problems. This one's really important because a lot of times there's going to be a problem that you didn't foresee. And you don't want your developer to have to come back to you with with every little problem. It's so irritating. So just giving them a little bit of margin that if there's a problem with the domain or a problem with the host or a problem with the theme or a problem with a plugin, they don't have to come back to you all the time. So making sure a little bit of margin for tech problems is in there. Like obviously if you run into a bigger tech problem that's going to take, a bigger block of time, that's separate. That'll be quoted separately, but definitely give them some wiggle room in terms of any unforeseen issues that they could run into. This one is really important. Time for fixes found during QA. Our process is design, build, and then QA. So making sure as well QA is included in this time, like someone to review the work of the developer, make sure that it matches the mockup. It is fast, it is responsive, all those things. But then what I do say, let them know is like, okay, once the QA review is done, so let's say you're splitting this up. You're not hiring an agency. Let's say you're splitting this up. You have the designer, the developer, QA. So as the QA person finds any problems, those go back to the developer, but making sure that those fixes are not billable, because mistakes or oversights should not be billable to you, because it was in the developer notes. If you use developer notes, it's in the developer notes exactly what they should have needed to do. Like there should be no guessing about what the problem is. If if there's something that's beyond the developer's control that's wrong, that's different. But making sure that QA fixes are not billable. So this is just a sample, but just making sure that you have a game plan when you get this quote, making sure that includes and if you think of something else, by all means add it. These are our core things that I make sure are included with every quote. But yeah, finding out later, oh no, I didn't quote for that, or that's not included. So annoying. So anyway, this is what we use and I hope it helps. I'll talk to you tomorrow.